American children and families have been listening to Adventures in Odyssey for 38 years. I know me and my brother, we grew up enjoying Focus on the Family's award-winning audio series, and we've kept listening. Now we've got kids of our own, and we're introducing the characters in Town of Odyssey to our own children as this comedy drama episodes. They teach lasting truths and bring Christian biblical truths to life with just the right balance of fun, faith, and excitement. Coming up later in the program, Leigh has been the voice of series favorite Connie Kendall since the program began airing in 1987. And Katie attended one grand party last August where 6,000 fans journeyed to Focus on the Family from 49 states and 5 Canadian provinces to celebrate episode number 1,000. The two-day event featured interactive exhibits, a life-size set of Odyssey, and 2 live shows. And we're going to talk to Katie here in just a little bit. The recorded 1,000th episode is available on the Adventures in Odyssey Club, and it releases on the radio right here on Harvest Radio this weekend, March the 1st. That's Saturday morning at 10 a.m. right here on Harvest Radio. We've got a busy week upcoming here at the church, and we want to make sure you are aware of all that's taking place here at Harvest Church Humboldt, beginning with Sunday morning worship at 10 a.m., Sunday evening Bible study and Sunday school time at 5 p.m., family prayer Tuesday night at 7, midweek refresh Wednesday night at 7 p.m. as well. For more details on the upcoming schedule, go to our website, harvesthumboldt.com, or our handy-dandy app. We'll be back with Katie coming up in just one moment. We are joined live today here on the Harvest Focus with Miss Leigh, who also is known as Connie Kendall by a lot of folks that listen to Harvest Radio. We air Adventures in Odyssey every weekday night at 7 o'clock, and then every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock in the morning. Miss Leigh, so it's an honor to have you on the program today.
Well, it's an honor for me to be here. Thanks for having me.
Now, we were talking off air, and you are in California, correct?
Yes, sir.
So that can present its challenges for a Christian, and I want to start kind of there, Miss Leigh, and then we'll work our way towards Adventures in Odyssey. These are very challenging times for a lot of people, but in Hollywood or in California, it's kind of known for pushing a different narrative. How challenging is it? What's it like to be a Christian there in Hollywood?
Well, you might be surprised to know how many churches there are here in California and Los Angeles. Yeah, we've got our fair share. We have lots of churches, but you're right. I mean, the people who are maybe in power, influencers, seem to push a different agenda, and that's true. And there are lots of different opinions, but I think,
Yes,
living in the United States, you're not going to agree with everybody, right?
that's right. Yes. And you have made, again, we're going to work our way toward Odyssey, but you have kind of made your splash there in Hollywood as well, not just in the Christian industry, even though you are a Christian. You've played diverse roles, and I know like Baby Ralph on Muppet Babes and Babies and that kind of thing. Why don't you give everybody kind of if they don't know who Miss Leigh is, can you name some of the voices that you have done?
Sure. Yeah, I've worked on a lot of cartoons in the past. Like you said, I was Baby Rolf on the Muppet Babies. He sounded like that. I did Hulker Buttlefoot's voice on Darkwing Duck. I was Sunny Gummy on the Gummy Bears and Dumbo on Dumbo Circus when that was on the Disney Channel. And now I'm on a new show called Lily's Lab on Answers TV. I play the voice of Lily on Answers TV. And then near you, are you near Pigeon Forge at all?
We are about 6 hours from there, but that's kind of the vacation spot here.
Okay, well, they're building a thing called Truth Traveler there.
Yes.
And I'm the voice of Pod, the robot that you'll hear when you go to that 4D experience.
It's cool because that's opening here this year, 2025.
Yeah, it's supposed to be next month. I don't know how on time they are, but it's like a 4D trip through the Bible, through history. It's supposed to be super cool. I can't wait to get out there and see it.
Yeah, that will be fantastic. Now, everybody, again, listening to Harvest Radio recognizes your voice as Connie Kendall. I know you played Malanga on Adventures in Odyssey, Rescue from Manitoba Point as well. So
did that. That's true. They don't let me play too many other characters because they think I'm too recognizable.
Yeah. Now, how did you get started working for Adventures in Odyssey? Let's talk about that.
Well, I heard the family portraits on the radio one day. I was driving in the car listening to Focus on the Family back in probably 1985 or
Okay.
86. And I happened to be in Arcadia when I heard the family portraits, and I recognized some of my fellow voice actors in the cast. And I realized they were using professional actors, and I wanted to use my talents for the Lord in some way, shape, or form. And so I pulled over, found a phone booth, got their address, drove over to Focus on the Family, gave them my reel to reel, and said, I'd really like to work with you guys. And
Wow.
that, yeah,
People would be surprised how many actors, professional actors are used in Adventures in Odyssey. I'm trying to remember what year it was as a kid. I got it for Christmas, and it was the Adventures in Odyssey book that walked through. I
yeah,
still
they
got
call
it
it the
somewhere.
Bible, I think.
Yeah.
Guidebook, guidebook.
Yeah, and when I started reading through there, like who the different people were and what they had done and other things, I was amazed. A lot of times you think, well, it's a Christian production, it's just going to be kind of volunteer work, this kind of thing. But they have really taken Adventures in Odyssey seriously, and I think that's why they've been able to last as long as they have.
Yeah, I mean, we have the best actors in Hollywood. So, I think to go back to your original question, think about the influence that we have in
Yes.
Hollywood. I mean, that's what God calls us to do, right? Not shun or run away from things, but to bring the light wherever we are. So I think that the folks who produce Adventures in Odyssey are doing that.
Does Adventures in Odyssey get some attention there in Hollywood with some of you actors that are there?
What do you mean? In what way?
Does it kind of bring the Christian programming to life? Like, do they say, "Oh, wow, you're doing that"? Like, if you have to say, "Well, hey, I'm gone this weekend. I'm going to record to Adventures in Odyssey." Does that come up any in conversations to where they say, "Well, what is Adventures in Odyssey?"
No, no, but it's been around for so long. When they send the auditions to the agents for when there's new parts coming up, so I know a
Yeah.
lot of the other actors here, so they'll email me and say, I'm auditioning for the show. Maybe we'll get to work together. So, but I'll tell you, the people who do come to work on the show,
Yeah.
if they've never done it before, they always say it feels different and how much they enjoy the experience. And no one that I know of has ever complained when they've been hired, whether they're a believer or not.
Wow, that is amazing. Now, your character, some characters come and go on Adventures in Odyssey. I think back to some of the families that are no longer necessarily featured on the program itself. But Connie Kendall has been a mainstay. What has been difficult or even the most fun part of playing that role?
That I don't have to change my voice very much. I get to be myself and bring a lot of myself to the character. I think Um, I'm just I'm always amazed. I was amazed when we did our third year of recording. So now that we're in like year 38, I'm even
Yeah.
more amazed and just so grateful to God to be here for so long. And I mean, Odyssey's like, I feel like I live in a parallel universe because there's my Odyssey world, my
Yeah.
Odyssey family, all the fans feel like family, and then my real life, and they've overlapped so much over the years. It's just I'm just so grateful. It's enriched my life so much.
I grew up listening to Odyssey, and now my children, it's kind of like a generational thing. And it's lasted long enough now that my kids are getting to experience some of these things for the first time. But as I listen to the episodes, I can tell that the program itself feels like it has changed. Does it feel like that from an actor standpoint? And if so, what would you say is the biggest changes?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with the writers
Okay.
because as they got the beginning, Paul Cusker and Phil Lawler were writing an episode a week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, we recorded every week, and then it became, overwhelming, and they brought in new writers, and as they try to bring on new writers, I've heard that it's harder for them to write for the established characters because they don't know them as well, so they'll create new ones.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, we've got more, storylines going on that we didn't have before. So I think, that's changed. It's not quite as simple as it used to be with the characters. And of course, we've had actors pass on to
Yes.
be with the Lord, so they have to adjust,
Yeah.
to accommodate that as well. So I think that's part of it. It's just people come and go, things change, and it depends on who's, running the ship, I guess.
Yeah. You talk about actors that have passed on. Hal Smith, the original Mr. Whitaker. I never will forget the point where I was able to take my daughter and show her Hal Smith was Otis Campbell in Andy Griffith. And, it was just neat for her to be able to see, wow, these are people that aren't just, pulling people off the street, but these were actually real actors that were involved in Adventures in Odyssey from the beginning. And you got to work with Hal Smith. How was that? And, he's very comical in Andy Griffith, but the original Mr. Whitaker, he had a little humor, but he knew also how to be serious too. Was it a pretty cool experience to get to work with Hal Smith?
Well, I was fortunate because I worked with Hal Walker Edmiston, who played Bart Rathbone, and
Yes.
Tom Riley, Will Ryan, who played Eugene. We all worked on Dumbo Circus before we worked on Adventures in Odyssey. So we all knew each other really well. That's when I heard Hal on Family Portraits, is when I drove my car over there and said, "Hey, guys, I'm available too."
Yeah.
And it was, and Hal and was just so funny. I mean, when he wasn't, when he had to read the script, he honored the script, but in
Sure.
between takes, he was so funny and so entertaining. And Will would bring his ukulele and we'd start singing, and the guys in the booth would, the director to be like, "Come on, can we get back to work?" Because all we wanted to do was have fun. So and they've all, we're really close friends. And I don't know if you know this, but Will Ryan and I were best buddies, and we
Yes.
started a show called The Tell You Later Show that you can see on YouTube and on Patreon.
Yes. Yes. Matter of fact, I've watched a few of those episodes. And
You did?
yes, those are really cool. And I've learned a lot watching those episodes. He always Ryan had a way of teaching you things without making you feel like you didn't know what you was looking at. It was just so cool for him to be able to explain things. He was a unique talent, and I know he's
He's
greatly
like an
missed.
encyclopedia with feet. Yeah. He just would he knew so much. And well, the motto of our show is where you learn so much about so little and vice versa.
Yeah, yes, yes. Now this next question is going to be a hard one, and it's almost not fair. But do you have a favorite episode?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, what would that be?
The next one.
Of course. I should have known that was going to be the answer. Yeah. Um, so just recently, we've got coming up here this coming Saturday, when this airs, we're recording this a few days out, but when this airs, coming up this Saturday will be the airing of the 1000th episode from One Grand Party that you all recorded.
I don't
What?
think it's from One Grand Party.
Okay. Okay.
No, the 1000th episode, the number 1000, was recorded in the studio, and I'm
Okay.
actually not in it, which is separate from the
Oh,
recording of the One Grand Party was to celebrate 1,000 episodes,
there
but
we
it
go.
was a completely different show. So just to clarify,
That's good. I'm glad you said that because I was thinking it was going to be the live show. So it's not. Do you know when they're going to release the live show? Have they said yet?
I believe it's on the app, the Adventures in Odyssey Club app right
Okay.
now, or on the podcast. Or I haven't seen it. I know it's out. I was sick this week, and I,
Okay.
I should have brought it up.
No,
But
that's okay.
yeah, it's out there. It's out there, and it might be on the podcast, or it's on the. I think it's in the club.
Okay.
So I'm gonna
Excellent.
watch it.
Yeah,
Now that you brought it up, I'm gonna watch it.
we're club members, so I'll go definitely check that out because I wanted to see that. So the 1000th recorded episode is coming out this Saturday, but let's go back to where you celebrated the 1000th episode, the One Grand Party. That was an event unlike anything they've ever done. I know they've done some live shows and that kind of thing, but they took this to the next level. What was it like to interact with those fans?
It was absolutely amazing. And Focus on the Family did an incredible job, way beyond what any of us could have imagined. It was a blowout. It was spectacular. We had meet and greets. We had two live shows with 3,000 people in each audience. And we had events going on the day before. They
Wow.
had authors there. They had little breakout rooms where you could watch Foley. They recreated some things from the imagination station, stuff from the Bible room. It was just, and pictures on the wall. It was the most incredible, wonderful thing. And then I even had my own after party the day after with fans of the Tell You Later show and people from there's a big Facebook group of Odyssey fans.
Yes.
And so a lot of those people got to meet each other in person at our little get together. And it was just, we hated to see it end. Everybody's still talking about it and they want to get together again. It was a blast.
So I'm going to ask you one more question as we wrap up here. I think I told the person that helped me schedule this that I would keep it to 10 to 15 minutes. So I've got about 1 minute left. But let me just kind of circle back around. We talked about at the very beginning, Miss Leigh, how that, being a Christian in Hollywood, it can be a challenging thing, but it's also, a way that the light is still shining, even in Hollywood and in California. What would be some advice that you have learned as a Christian living where you are, or just even through maybe your character, Connie Kendall, that you would share with the listeners of the Harvest Focus today?
When I first got saved, I felt like I had to carry my Bible everywhere and let everybody know that I was a Christian to protect myself or something.
Yeah.
And then, and at the same time, I was working on a show that before Odyssey,
Mhm.
called Dungeons and Dragons, that was on TV, that a lot of Christians at the time were extremely against, and I was embarrassed and didn't know if I should quit doing voice acting. And I didn't want to tell my Christian friends that I was a voice actor. I didn't want to tell the actors I was a Christian, and I felt like you're supposed to evangelize. What are you supposed to say to different people? And then one day, I just felt God said, "Just be yourself. You don't have to tell anybody what to do. You just share your own experience, your own truth, and nobody can argue with you." If I said to you, I was praying this morning and this is what I felt God told me, no one would argue with me. If I
Yeah.
said to you, you better pray this morning, they would take offense, right? But if
Right.
I said, if I just share who I am and always be transparent, I don't have to worry about who I'm talking to because I'm just talking about myself and not telling other people what to do.
Yeah. Wow. That's good stuff. Very good. Well, Miss Katie, I appreciate you taking time for us today. And I know our listeners are looking forward to that 1000th recorded episode. And folks out there, they already say that the live show is available. So go find it and enjoy. And again, thank you. Hopefully, we'll have you back on again sometime.
Oh, I hope so. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure talking to you.
That was a lot of fun. We got to talk to the voice of Connie Kendall. She's been with the program since 1987, Adventures in Odyssey. Katie Leigh, thank you so much for taking time for us today. Thank you for tuning into the podcast. Make sure you join us each and every week. We release a new episode, usually Thursday or Friday. It depends on the week and kind of the church schedule and how much time I have as pastor to get to it. But you can pretty much guarantee there's going to be a new episode every week right here. Season 43. My dad began this program as a radio program 43 years ago. And now we just continue it through our church radio station, Harvest Radio. So if you're listening on Harvest Radio, thank you for tuning in. That airs 24/7 on our website, harvesthumboldt.com. 24/7 music, all of that. And then on Saturday mornings, Adventures in Odyssey at 10 a.m. Now, if you're listening to this on Harvest Radio, this is airing the day after March the 1st, so it would be March 2nd, and we just played the 1000th recorded episode from Adventures in Odyssey. Now, if you want to hear the live show is available on the app for the Odyssey Club. You can go back and do that. We just finished watching that with our own children this past week. Had a lot of fun, and that was a great, great episode. So, thank you for tuning in today. Join us next week for more of the Harvest Focus. We're a ministry of Harvest Church in Humboldt, Tennessee, located on the Highway 45 bypass. 3401 Bledsoe Road is our physical address. If you want to send us a note, you can also email us at harvesthumboldt@gmail.com. Until next week, God bless.